Hey guys, it's Caden. Welcome to another episode of Get Prepped Podcast, where we talk with voice actors, nonprofit leaders, and business owners that are going to be in the new game, Get Prepped. Today we have an individual who's also known as the VO Quadfather. You might know him from Law And Order SVU, a small role in that, but an impactful one. He is Doug Bartling Jr. Thanks for coming on, Doug.
Thank you, Caden, for having me, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. My first question for you is, how did you get into voice acting?
How did I get into voice acting? I was a radio guy back in 2010, 2011. I had a choice. I was going to go into doing my bachelor's or pursue radio, and I did radio. Tried to have my own show, with the disability and stuff. That's how the Quadfather name came to be, was radio. And about a year and a year and a half, I was doing live news weather traffic for a lot of the Albany radio stations up in upstate New York. And then after a while, I was like, yeah, it's not my thing. I wasn't on a show. I wanted my own show. The hours were rough. And then right before I got out of radio, I was offered a show. And then I had to make a choice. It was either the hours and do radio. And I decided not to do it, walked away from radio, got into motivational speaking. And that's how I started taking voiceover classes, probably about 2012. And then I got really, really into it about 7 years ago. And then I just started doing it full time from then.
That's an amazing story. And I happen to be a New Yorker myself. I was born in Kingston. I live in Painesville, Ohio now.
Okay.
So I've been to Albany a couple of times. My next question.
Yeah, Kingston's what? Maybe like 2 hours like south.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's a couple hours away from you, Painesville to Albany. My next question for you is, what was your favorite role to take on in your voice acting career?
Oh, man. Geez, I'll tell you. Nothing, what's funny is I did this, I played 3 characters for the Count of Monte Cristo for Little Lucky Productions. And that was amazing because I got to explore my chops. I got to play different characters. Normally I do like automotive, or I'll do like commercial, promo, live announcer. But the cartoon and the kind of like the accent thing was always something that I really wanted to do. I practiced with it, but I never was really trained into character and video game. And then not until maybe about 3 or 4 years over the last 3 or 4 years, I've gotten more into the character and video game. But I really loved doing the automotive spots. I loved doing the commercial spots, but then fell in love with promo. So I loved doing that to explore the character side. But really, I love promo. I love TV narration. That's really kind of like where I like to hone in on, with the deep vibrato and the baritone and the bass kind of thing. And live announcing is always a genre that I like to follow too.
Yeah, those are definitely interesting choices. The impact promo has on a commercial. So the voice actor behind that is extremely impactful on a brand. One of my personal favorite commercials is some of the old KFC commercials with the catchy voiceover jingle. Well, those are extremely impactful. Specifically, though, ones that who wrote the jingle? Luther Vandross, though, was that Luther Vandross wrote. I think it was "It's so nice to feel so good about a meal." Those ones, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know what you're talking about. What's funny is Pharrell. He wrote the McDonald's album, or the McDonald's da 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 da. Like, he wrote a lot of the jingles you see now, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. A lot of superstar like R&B singers write a lot of the jingles that we listen to all the time. We never know about it.
That's what makes them so catchy. Yeah, my next question for you is, what's a funny or challenging in the booth or on-set moment that you want to share with us?
Oh, geez. All right. Well, how personal do you want to get, Caden? Do you want to get, is this a PG-13? No, I'm serious. I'm kidding. I'll tell you one about that happened right on the Law and Order set. I brought my one assistant down, and I wasn't doing my spot until like day 3. So we're on day 2, and I'm part of the jury for I'm reading the final verdict at the end of the episode. Is he guilty? Is he not guilty? And I'm going to my dressing room. I get to the dressing room, and there's a change of clothes there. Well, my assistant just saw a change of clothes there. And she said, you got to change. Me not thinking twice about it, I go to change. I go onto the set, and they're like, jury for person number 3. And then another jury for person. 10 people literally on different spots were like, why is he wearing this shirt? Come to find out, that was for the day that I was going to be filming for. And they just wanted it in my dressing room to make sure it fit, not to wear. So I had to hold up the whole production. Everybody had to go back into the dressing rooms for me to go back into my room, get changed, to come back on the set to sit in there. So needless to say, you don't get changed until somebody in charge tells you to change. So that was the one thing that I learned. I kind of learned on spot, on the job training, burned by fire, I guess, so never again is that going to happen.
Yeah,
you got to have a good personality, Caden. You got to go with the flow, right? Things are going to happen, problems are going to occur, and you got to be able to just go with it. Life is hard, life is challenging, but you got to just take it and let it build character. When bad things happen or when embarrassed things happen, you got to take it off the chin. You got to say, okay, I wish that didn't happen, but it's a good story to tell down the road, so. And you try to live your best life just by trying to just do the best you can as a person, let alone somebody in an acting industry or voice acting or whatever your said field is, or what you're trying to do for life.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, and I absolutely agree with you on that. My next question for you is, what's something that you do outside of acting that people may not know you're into?
Well, being a quadriplegic, I'm very fortunate enough that I dove in shallow water 18 years ago, and I broke my neck, and that's how the Quadfather came, with radio. But you learn a lot about life as you do it. So things that I've done along the way is I've always tried to push myself. I was an athlete, I was a sports guy in construction. I like to play on toys and stuff. So I rode a mechanical bull about 8 to 10 years ago, and I fractured my left hip from riding it. I rode it 3 times. And so I challenge myself there. When I go to Disney World with the family, I'll ask somebody in line to help me get onto a roller coaster. I'm 6'5", 280 pounds. So, and I'm completely paralyzed. So like when I go and do stuff, I want to try it. So my mechanical bull riding days are over. Riding roller coasters is fun, but I can get on them, no problem. It's getting off of them is my problem. So, but you do it, right? You do it. I drive. I just drove to Canada for a voiceover retreat last month, which is 10 hours. So that was kind of a good good test. So it's those kind of things. I try to swim if I can, and I really just want to try to see what I can do and what I'm capable of doing and what I'm not capable. I'd rather try and fail than not try at all,
Yeah, and I definitely respect that. I really do. As an autistic person myself, I definitely feel that.
What's something that's really crazy, Caden? When I go and fly, when I fly to go to voiceover conferences like in LA or in Atlanta, I have to get picked up, to get put on a chair, to get tied on, to get wheeled into the airplane, to get picked up, to put on there. And if they're not ready for me, they're, everybody has to be on, the same, pattern. Everybody's got to be on the same wavelength when we're transferring me over on things. But like I said, I would rather go after it and do it and struggle doing it to say I did it and I went through it and I did it and I came out, and I've met the most beautiful people in the voiceover industry because of those challenges that I've said, you know what? Nope, I'm going to try it. And now I welcome the trials, welcome the challenges.
Yeah, and that's an amazing thing. Like I said, I'm on the spectrum, and I went through a time where I didn't even want to bother trying to socialize anymore because social skills were just super duper intimidating to me. But now I got
and now look at what you're doing, Caden. That's amazing. You should be so proud of yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely am.
For real.
The last question for you is: if you could take on any voice role, past or present, who would it be and why?
Past or present? I'm going to tell you this. Goofy. I would like to be Goofy. When I was at VO Atlanta, I got to meet Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy, and Daniel Ross, the voice of Donald Duck. And they did a cameo for me. And my kid's favorite was Goofy and Donald. So they did a cameo for me, and you hear, "Hiya, Otis. Hiya, Megan. It's your old pal Goofy." And I was like, "Oh my God, I want to be that." So just for paying homage to Bill Farmer, I would love to be Goofy one of these times. So there you go. I guess that would be the character I would play.
And that's a good
or at least
choice,
try to.
Yeah, it's a good choice. And that's a very on-spot Goofy impression, so you would definitely get the role. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much to Doug for coming on and sharing his story. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews with those involved in Get Prepped, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Get Prepped channel. And to learn more about the game, scan the QR code here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.